Hello and welcome to another brief demonstration of new features coming up in the Mars release of the Eclipse Papyrus project. Today we'll be looking at generating diagram assistance for a UML profile. So, looking at a profile that I think we've seen before, a very simple, very dumb little sketch of a profile for use case diagrams. So we have a stereotype extending use case, extension point, a couple of different stereotypes for actors, a completely nonsensical stereotype for associations, just the various different kinds of things that we can see in a use case diagram. So the idea is that I'd like to be able, on a use case diagram in a model that has this profile applied, get pop-up assistance to create new content, connection assistance to create new connections, new elements on the diagram. So let us start by launching a new Generate Diagram Assistance wizard on the profile. So it requires a few inputs from us. In particular, a unique identifier, or rather a prefix that will be used to generate unique identifiers for the element types that are generated to support these modeling assistants. Those element types being registered dynamically according to the new modeled element types scheme that is being developed concurrently for the Mars release. At this point still we have a dependency on the GMF generation distinction of different visualizations of the same element types distinguished by semantic hints, these visual IDs, and those are diagram specific. So at this stage, we're generating diagram assistance for a particular diagram that will extend or specialize the element types for that diagram. Currently, the prototype of the new element types scheme is implemented only for the use case diagram, so we'll work with that. And then the other usual details of a new file, container, file name for the new diagram assistance model. So let's go ahead and finish that. And in no time at all, we have a new diagram assistance model. We also have generated an element types configurations model to support that. So let's actually have a look at that first. So here we see element types for each of the various stereotypes in our profile, combined with the different notations of the metaclasses that they extend. So in the element types model for the UML use case diagram, there are two different, in fact, there are four different manifestations of the actor metaclass. So each of our actor stereotypes gets four different variants that are used in different contexts in the diagram. Each of these specialization types can have its own icon, of course. The default is taken from whatever the icon of its base type is. Stereotype matcher configurations to match particular shapes and elements in the diagram. And for creation of new elements, the apply stereotype advice configuration, advising each of these different element types. So happily we can generate all that and not really have to worry about it too much because it would be a lot of work to put that all together by hand. One interesting bit is in the assistance model. So we define some filters to match the various different element types that were generated in the other model that we just saw. A filter that is used to match elements that are in the context of the profile that we're looking at. Pop-up assistance to create, for example, the more interesting one is branch points in the context of a of something that is a use case. So any of the various use case element types will get a pop-up for the branch point. Connection assistance, we can create these stereotyped relationships between things that support them. So however this is supposed to work with these things, I don't know. So there it is. That's a dependency, I think. Stereotype, that one. This one is an association. So associations can be drawn, of course, between the different kinds of classifiers in a use case diagram. So to see how this all works in practice, we need to deploy the element types into our runtime and deploy the modeling assistance. So we can go over to this diagram now and see how it all works. So here I can create a branch point of the 3007 visual ID. That looks good. I can create a connection to a new user with, say, the actor shape. All right. That was an import. That wasn't what I wanted. I want to create one of these associations there. So it has that funny stereotype on it. I can create a association to a stereotyped use case. But here's the interesting thing about the visual IDs is I can also create a use case with a classifier shape. And this thing can create branch points with the other branch point visual ID. That's the 3008. So in case that also had a different visual manifestation, that's a significant consideration for the way that the diagrams are designed currently. Now, of course, the code generation doesn't know the meaning of these visual IDs, so it distinguishes them simply by just affixing the visual ID onto the name of the thing, right? So rather than that, it would be probably more useful to to customize those as a post-generation step in this model before going any further. But that's a small detail. So there you have it, generating diagram assistance for UML profiles. Thank you.